I hope your speculation comes to fruition because otherwise I'm going to be pretty disappointed. You're getting my hopes up here, buddy.
What kind of hopes are you thinking? Who out of that list? Who would you think
Oh,
makes the most sense out of that list? Um, with the draft capital that we could use.
you didn't call the name out for me. I don't know if the Dolphins would be down for it because of what they're building down there, but Jalen Waddle,
There's a couple specific reasons why Jalen Waddle wouldn't be on the market. Number one, um, they haven't found their guy in Miami. They haven't found their quarterback, right? You bring in Tom Brady, he always takes a team friendly deal. It doesn't matter whether he comes back or not. Tua, you've clearly shown that he's not your guy. Otherwise, you would have already extended him. You don't have to worry about that. If Tua ends up being their guy that they re-sign, it's not going to be for big banking money where you have to worry about, okay, I've already paid Tyreek Hill. I now cannot pay Jalen Waddle. It's going to be, okay, I can pay Jalen Waddle and I'll use this little bit of money to bring back Tua. But most likely they're going to find out that Tua is not their guy because they did their due diligence, just like the Eagles did, built around him, realized that Tua is not that guy. He's also injury prone and doesn't know how to fall right, so he gets concussions. And they'll go in the draft and they'll reach for their next guy, which means that they'll be on a rookie contract for a quarterback for another 5 years, and you can pay Jalen Waddle.
you don't want a guy like Hunter Renfrow.
We tried that with Justin Watson. I'm all right without Renfro.
Wow. There's a lot of people out there that
Oh,
would call you blasphemous for thinking they're on the same level.
I was just saying a white guy playing receiver that's not named Cooper Cup. I'm not saying
Hunter
Renfro's
Renfrow
bad.
has this weird cult
Hunter,
following.
he
Like
does.
he he should be way better than Justin Watson.
He's better than Justin. You want a real comp?
Way better.
I'll give you a real comp. Um, Welker, Wes Welker. That's Renfro's comp. A very good, a very capable guy, older, injury prone, not worth the money you signed him to when you signed him to that deal.
I like
The
Wes
best,
Welker.
the bet. I liked him too. I liked him a lot. The funny thing is as soon as Renfro hit 30, what happened? He already started to break down. Same thing with Wes Welker. Not worth the money that you paid him at the age that you paid him at, and now the Raiders got to eat it. And that's why he is now likened
Hunter
to the
Renfrow's
like
not that old.
of he's 31.
No, he's not.
He's not.
He's
He's younger.
27.
Oof, that
Oh
hairline needs to get fixed, brother.
my God.
That hairline needs to get
You
fixed.
say shit so confidently
I
without
do.
actually knowing your
I
shit.
looked at no. Listen, I looked it up a long time ago, like beginning of the season. Could have swore it was 31.
It's not.
He looks like he's 31.
I'll give you that.
Best days are behind him.
Uh, his couple of routes versus the Chiefs. His best days.
Just coming off of a big injury. His quarterback is now Jimmy G. There are no other weapons because Darren Waller got traded. Josh Jacobs is gone. Still hasn't been picked up, by the way.
I mean,
Chiefs.
if you want an answer like of the guys that you listed, I mean, you said them right away. I would probably take T Higgins off the entire list of people that you listed off. But I have a hard time seeing that. I know Orlando Brown, like there's a pathway between the two teams, but they're not sending they're not sending somebody our way.
We, no, I mean, I wouldn't think so. At the end of the day, it comes down to compensation. I think if they have to get rid of him to get compensation, there are going to be other teams vying for him. He doesn't have obviously a no trade clause or anything like that, so he doesn't get to decide where he gets wants to go. Um, so if we threw a good offer out there, probably, but um, yeah, I don't see that one necessarily happening. It's probably the most enticing out of that. Did you see the report about Orlando Brown Jr. and how he ended up at the Bengals after the season was
The only
over?
thing I've read up on it is that he took a lesser contract than we offered him originally,
After the Super
just
Bowl,
with like
Orlando
more
Brown.
guaranteed money, I guess, right?
Yep. Less guaranteed money, but it was also for less years. So technically, it was more per average than what he was going to get. That whole sort of thing. Like
Sure.
we were going to give him 5 years with 54, and he got 3 years with 30, or what, a little over 30, or almost 40. So it was technically more guaranteed
Yeah.
by the year average. But it was after the Super Bowl. It's now been reported that Orlando Brown, after or during somewhere in that time frame, Orlando Brown Jr. Reached out to his agent, and he and his agent pursued the Bengals, not the Bengals pursued him.
What a jackass.
So he already knew that he played so poorly that the Chiefs were not going to offer him a contract, and he needed to find his own route. And so he reached out to the next best team, being the Bengals, and got himself a nice little gig over there. Congrats to you, Orlando Brown. But any Bengals fan who's saying that Chiefs fans are only being upset that he's gone after the season ends clearly don't know what you're talking about. And hopefully he works out, because I think there's a massive scheme difference when it comes to Kansas City versus Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is much like in the likeness of Tom Brady, that he gets the ball out of his hands really quickly, whether that's thrown away or down the field. Like the ball comes out. Whereas Patrick Mahomes, while he works within the playbook and the systems and the reads, he's also very uh, uh, improvisational. He moves around in the pocket. He asks his tackles and the rest of the offensive linemen to hold a little bit more than what would be common at other teams, because their quarterbacks are not as good as him.
You watched Joe Burrow play?
Joe Burrow does tend to hang on to the ball. I'm not saying that he doesn't. I'm on average, and within the scheme that the Bengals run, it is the ball is meant to get out of his hands more. Now,
What I
his
was reading,
arms
it's
are
just the
more
difference
quickly.
between shorter drops and Mahomes standing
Correct.
7 to 8 yards back of the offense of the line of scrimmage.
I mean, that is part of it. That also goes along with how deep are the routes, things of that nature. But that all equivalates to uh, Joe does get the ball out of his hands just a little bit quicker than Patrick does.
They're both known for
It's down to
scrambling
millis.
and making
It's
people
down to
miss.
milliseconds.
And
Yes.
but anyways, does Omenihu come off the right, so left side of the offensive line, but he come off the right side of the defense? Is he going to be, when we play the Bengals, is he going to be going against Orlando Brown? Because if he is, Orlando Brown's going to have his hands full, because this dude is a freaking monster at 6'8", 280.
I'm gonna have to go
Or
back and
6'7", 280.
look at the film, because we did play the 49ers when Minihue was there, and we did have Orlando. So I'd like to go back and look at the film and see if and when they matched up. And I don't know how often he switches around the line. I do know that he does move. And the cool thing is he also does play inside, which is a really cool thing. He can go in there and play next to uh, Chris Jones. The cool thing is Chris Jones can also move outside. So if we want to run um, a speed package, you could put Mike Dana and Omenihu or Karloftis inside, and you could run Chris Jones and Omenihu or whoever on the outside. And that is a speed demon package, which is going to be really, really cool to see. Mike Dana in there as well. We do obviously need some depth and some help, but expect that defensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs to be completely versatile in 2023, 2024.
Yeah, I mean, there's been most places say Omenihu's listed as a defensive end, but there's places that list him as a defensive tackle. So he's been lined up all over the place. But
He's a
when he's
massive
at
human being.
end, I hope he's going up against Orlando Brown because I feel like he give him a lot of trouble with his long arms and just the fact that he's 280 pounds.
I'd like to
Uh,
see Chris Jones go up against him. I think Chris Jones eats that man's lunch
Chris Jones
all
doesn't come off
freaking
that
day.
side of the ball though. Chris Jones is mainly on the left
It's,
side.
I know, I know.
Let's see. That's what I was asking, buddy.
I know. I was just I don't know. Chris Jones obviously doesn't come off the left side, but I mean Amenhu will move left and right. I don't think he will get specific to a side. Um
And he's gonna have like a base position, and then they will move him around in different packages. Like that's the way we roll.
yeah, there will be a base package. It's always a base package. Um Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. Uh we've got what 10 draft picks, $10 million, roughly 5 to 7 needs to be sat to the side. What are we've talked about edge? That's a big one. I think all the stars are pretty much gone there. We still need to bring in a safety. Um, I don't think we're going to go after tackle in the first round, especially after bringing Juwan in. Is it mainly going to be
No, I
depth
think
pieces?
that's
Like like obviously in the later rounds we're going to be going for depth, but are we going to be going for depth in the early rounds too? Are we going to go for best available at the position? What do you think is on Brett Veach's mind?
listen. You're the one talking about all the types of moves that we're gonna make. So I unless we move up to where we draft a starter at the end of the first round, that's really a lot of our starters are decided. And if we draft a safety, he's going to be in a rotation. You know, if unless we, I don't think at the late part of the first round, there's going to be a really standout receiver that's going to be like a number one guy for us. So yeah, I think if especially if we keep that round one pick at the end of the first round, it's going to be a depth piece. It's going to be a rotational piece, but that's if we get the best player available there, we trust our evaluators. We know who Veach is. We know what that draft room is capable of. So trust the process. But if we want to call it, we're just drafting depth, then yeah.
There are rumors.
I really
I
hope we
heard.
don't. I understand the tight end class this year is deep. I really hope we don't go after a tight end.
I don't think it'll be early unless somehow that Georgia tight end falls to us. Then I'm willing to take him uh, around that 31 position. Obviously, there's only 31 picks in the first round this year. If you didn't know that, Miami had theirs taken away for tampering with Tom Brady. Shocker. Miami's corrupt. Who didn't know that? Um, there are rumors going on. Carolina's obviously traded for the first round or the first overall pick from the Bears. Um, Gave up DJ Moore and a couple other picks. And now there are rumors that they don't know who they're taking with the first overall pick. That there's also possibility that they trade down and try to recoup some of what they got, maybe at pick 2 or so, with another team that needs a quarterback because they might like a couple of them and they're willing to get some of what they gave away back. Um, and be okay with whatever the leftover results are for them. What do you think about that?
I think that the draft is the best TV in the offseason. It gives you so much to look forward to for the new football season. So the moves are going to be exciting, and I think the fact that everything's kind of up in the air is super exciting. Um, so I'm just ready to be entertained. I'm really bad at speculating. Like I'll come up with an idea that's just out of left field because I don't know any of the insider information, and it's just gonna fall flat. But you know, I'm ready to be entertained.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go to the draft here in Kansas City. I'm ready for the entertainment value that that is going to bring. Um, it has been nice not worrying about a single mock draft this year. So far, the combine was cool to watch and like be it kind of in the background more so than it has been in the past. I think we may try and reach out to some of our friends from the show to come on and talk about that. But there's also going to be some other things that we bring in. I did confirm with Coach Caraway, Coach Josh Caraway, who's now moved to Liberty. He will be on after spring ball here in the next coming months. Working with some other people. We are going to bring on some fans of other teams and do a little shit talking. That will be fun. So there's a lot of football. It's a little bit of a downtime right now, which is okay. There are some players I don't want to talk about again. D Hop, OBJ, no
It's
reason
gonna
to.
happen until something happens. We're gonna talk about it until something
We
happens.
we are not talking about them again. I am done. I am done with them until they actually find a home. Which, well, D Hop has one, and OBJ may never. It's probably going to be the Cowboys. Thank God, dysfunctional franchise.